Cool,
Let's
can you
roll.
hear me? 3, 2, 1.
Man loves to clap.
3, 2, 1.
Nobody asked, but 3, 2, 1, okay? I did a show a couple of years ago and I got a message like, yes, Dotty, represent, do it for all of us. And I was like, wow.
I have to represent myself before anyone else. But I also am carrying the weight of this community who are gonna be watching me and being like, yeah, like, come man, like rep us.
Welcome to Informal, a new show brought to you by Beats by Dr. Dre, which will see me, Dotty, joined by some of the best talent in and around Black British culture. And on today's episode, I'm joined by one of the funniest people in a generation, Mo Gilligan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, what's going on, Dotty? How you keeping, man? Girl like Dotty. Trust me, singing songs like Pavarotti. Sometimes I got a black head, so I got to squeeze the sporty. Hope you're well, though, man. How you keeping? You all right?
I'm good, but I want to congratulate you on the RTS award as well.
Yeah, even like the fact that we was nominated, because it felt like it was so long ago. Sometimes you think, oh wow, I didn't know we would even get nominated. So yeah, man, it was a huge honor for myself, Nasty, and the rest of the team.
You got the RTS, BAFTA award winning as well. How much importance do you actually attach to the winning of the award? Is it important?
Oh yeah, of course, because it allows one for myself in my career to be like, you hold some credentials, but also it allows other people from the outside to be like, well, it's kind of possible. Because, what some of these nominations do or some of these wins do, it allows you to, be in a space that, you don't normally occupy. So it goes to show that it's proof in the pudding that, the man them can make a show and it feel inclusive, but it's also like bringing our world to TV and getting recognised for it as well. So yeah man, it really is a big deal when you do kind of start winning these things,
So did you add it to your email signature? Yeah, like BAFTA award winning. Is it at the end of your emails?
You know what? It's not there, but there's a couple times like I gotta let some man know sometimes, Like I'll be around people and be like, yeah, no, that sketch was good, but I used to like your old ones. And I'll be like, yeah, well, since I won the BAFTA, I've been busy in it. I just gotta just drop it in there and be like, love me, cuz like.
When did you first realise that you were funny?
I think, you know what it was? For me, most probably when I was like in school, and it's like when I was most probably around about 13, 14, I always big up my old secondary school teacher, Miss Simpson, because she was the first person to say, look, you're really talented at performing arts. You should really look at, taking that further as such. And that was the first teacher that really I always say in anyone's career, there's always one person that just gives you the realization of like, oh, well, I am good at this and you understand this world, so maybe I might just take your advice on this.
And you picked up, obviously, a lot of your audience through your skits. Did you feel that responsibility knowing that, like, Black people actively want you to do well? I did a show a couple of years ago, and before the first show, it was about 20 minutes before we went live, and I got a message like, yes, Dotty, represent, do it for all of us. And I was like, wow, like, my nerves were already high, yeah? And then they skyrocketed. I just felt like there was this extra layer of pressure on me. Do you feel that? Because everyone wants you to do well.
For me, that kind of set in when I had the opportunity to have my own show and it got announced. This is before it got on TV, because I was quite fortunate that I was able to be part of the Big Nasty show, and that was kind of like my vehicle into TV. But I don't think anyone was looking at me at that stage of like, Mo, like, come on, man, like, represent us, do us proud. I don't think anyone really looked at me then, because everyone was like, oh, right, Mo's on this show, like, what's he gonna do? And then I think once people seen me on the show, they're like, oh, cool, like, Mo's like really like a part of this show. But until I had announced my own show, and because no one had seen it, they didn't know what it was gonna be like, I didn't really give much away. Some people thought it might be a sketch show. And in my head, I'm like, this is gonna be a big, shiny floor show. And yeah, like, that's when I'm in the barbers, and like, people I don't even know would be like, yo, blood, you got your show in it? I'm like, yeah, bruv. Do your thing, bro, but you get me, like, make it sick and that still, like, you get me? Because man don't really watch TV. I'm like, okay, I hear what you're saying. So yeah, there was massive pressure, man, because you know what it's like when you're in that space of like, I have to represent myself before anyone else, who I am, and be true to myself when I'm on TV. But I also am carrying the weight of this community who are gonna be watching me and being like, yeah, like, come man, like rep us. Like, don't be that person who gets on TV and forgets where you're from and starts changing how you act and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I had to make sure I was like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna massively represent my community, but not also degrade it as well. You know, sometimes I would go on shows and say, so what's a roadman? And I'm like, I know I'm talking to Middle England when they're asking what a roadman is. And I'm not gonna demonize what the roadman is. I'm like, it's just a guy from your area, innit? Who's just from the roads. Like I don't wanna portray the character of a roadman of like, oh, he's a straight thug. Because I'm like, he's not. He really ain't. So I knew going into TV that I had to really like make sure I portray my community in a positive light and really show the real side to my community of like, look man, we're vibes. Like, we're smart, we're vibes. We're not just like, hey man, entertainment, hey. It's like, no, we can make big shows like everyone else and still be true to ourselves. Yeah. And it's almost, I always had to say to when I created the latest show, I said, the key ingredients we need is inclusion, because I'm gonna bring you into my world, but I want you to come in with me. You might not understand some of the stuff we're talking about and stuff like that. It might be a bit so far from certain people watching it, I don't get it. But I'm like, come in, man. Like, it's a house party. Everyone's invited. Come and have some gel off there. Come on, come invite, come. You know what I mean? Like,
how do you maintain that though? Like, do you ever worry about becoming too commercial?
There's nothing wrong with going commercial, but just don't lose yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can go commercial and still be yourself and still feel like you're accessible. So I think that's how I've always tried to, I've always tried to keep my feet on the ground, first and foremost. You know, the same friends I had from the start are still the same friends now. And they're the first ones that will put me in line and be like, yo, bruv, you're moving a bit mad, you know? like I have friends around me that would say that stuff and not feel any way. But I think it's just like showing people that you are still accessible and you're still the same person, but you're just kind of, you're just going to greater lengths to sustain your career. Because we all know in this industry, you want to be doing it for the rest of your life. You know, you don't want to be like, it was good for 2 years, but boy, man's back selling selling crepes and that. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
I know, but because I remember the first time I saw you on TV and I saw your ankles, innit? I was like, he's wearing shiny shoes and I can see his ankles. He's changed. Man, socks off now. And then I think the next day you did like a skit video. Yeah. And I was like, is that important to you to maintain the Mo the comedian we met and the Mo Gilligan that we see on TV?
My journey's almost like a train. Like, you're gonna join at different parts and you might leave at different parts, and that's still okay. Like, that's okay. Like, there's some people who just like my sketches and I'm like, that's fine. But there's other people that just like, I really like seeing you on that show because I watched that show with like, my 4-year-old son. Like, I'm a grown man, but I see my son enjoying you on TV in the sense of like, I don't see someone that looks like my dad on TV. So I always try to cater for each kind of audience. Do you know what I mean?
You have found that sweet spot in just creating comedic content that it just feels like it just resonates with everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think though, because of that, because you are so inherently funny, which I think one of the first videos I saw of you was the different types of policemen or something, and I was just creasing.
Yes. Yeah.
And then every time I meet you, I'm like, come on then, make me, like, he's gonna be funny. Do you feel that all the time, like that expectation that you need to be funny all the time?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Of course. I think it's just like, if you meet a boxer, you're like, bruv, I bet you're a great fighter. If it kicked off right now, bet you knock everybody out. And it's the same with comedy. It's just like, I bet you're funny all the time. And 90% of the time, when I'm around like people I'm very comfortable with, I am just naturally myself. And if they happen to laugh at what I say, they happen to laugh. But then I guess it's like you're saying, there are sometimes people who's like, come on, give us a big one. And I'm like, big man, I've just woke up. Like, like, I need to wash my face and brush my teeth.
But I think we can see in you, especially when you did that documentary on Black British comedians, we can see that there's more to you than just sketches or making people laugh. There's an informative side to you. It feels as though your career can transcend beyond comedy. What do you actually want your legacy to be?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I think for myself, it's like, as I've started to grow into this space of becoming a comedian and trying to kind of really excel to the highest of heights that I can be, it's very important that I do stuff like the documentary, like Black, British and Funny, because while the light is shining on me, I must shine it on others that have come before me and the new generation. Because ultimately, that's what's going to help this scene that I've been part of succeed, you know? It's almost like an ecosystem where it's like you got comedy, music, entertainment. It's all in the same kind of bubble a little bit. And I guess for me, I just want to be like part of this scene and have my legacy kind of be in a way where it's like, oh, right, like Mo was the guy who he kind of went for it as much as possible, really. Do you know what I mean? He tried to break down every door that was kind of in his path, essentially, you know. And I think that's why I always say, like, with my career, I do want to, like, try as much as possible. You know what I mean? It's very important that, you know, people see someone who looks like myself on Saturday night TV, as well as, like, on the Big Nasty show. That should be very important. It can't just be like, oh, we get the late night slot, so you're only going to see us at 11 o'clock. It's like, no, like, we can do shows where we're baking, where we are on, you know, like, family TV. And I think for myself in this space now, it's just really, like, being known as someone like Ra. Like, he really tried to break down every door that was in front of his path, you know, and just, I think everyone who kind of, you know, people that might follow in my path or just look for inspiration and stuff, just have like a kind of route that they can be like, oh, right, I might follow that type of route because I've seen it worked for him and that might work for me. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what I'd always want kind of most probably like my legacy to be. It's a bit long-winded, but it's kind of hard to just put in one sentence. Do you know what I mean?
Mo Gilligan, bro, you are an absolute credit to the culture.
Oh, big up, Dotty, man.
Thank you so much for coming on this episode, bro. And we look forward to seeing you just climb to higher heights.
Nah, no worries, man. Take care, man. Good to see you, Dotty. Take care.